SK did it, so you know it got slapped.
What you know about doing hard time in the lockup? No appeal and your baby mama knocked up. You only win 105 and you gotta survive. You better have some hands to get knotted up. Seeing friends turn to foes, you can't trust nobody. Every day is a test and you gotta have heart. And you gotta be smart and you can't be a mark. You're to blame your heart.
Welcome to TubbsTV. What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the cell. And, well, you know, when we talk about a lot of issues dealing with prison, street stories, and I'll just tell you a lot about experiences that I've been through. You know, not saying that I know everything that it is to know about prison, but I got a lot of years that I spent in the penal systems, the feds, and the state, and the difference is night and day. So when people say, well, what's the difference between in the feds and in the state? Well, for one, the people that you meet in the feds, most of them, I'm saying the majority of them, 90%, is in there because they were doing crimes that financial. They were getting money. Whether it was drugs, whether it was a Ponzi scheme, they got so many of them. It's just ridiculous. So many things that they've done, embezzlement, and the list just goes on and on and on. I don't have enough time to even think right off the top of my head of all the things that people did to get in there. But I met some people in the feds, for example, that were what you call intelligent fools. They were highly intelligent, and the things that they did, you'd be like, wow, man, what? You made how much? Millions of dollars doing that? And yeah. And then they did something that was so stupid that I couldn't believe somebody that made millions of dollars did some of the things that they did to get caught. I'll give you one story. I met this guy in Leavenworth. I was in the camp. I wasn't in the USP at this time. I was in Leavenworth camp. I had had 5 years and was convicted for drugs. So I pled guilty to 60 months for the drug case, and they said, well, you can do your time in the camp. My first time going to jail, and the camp was kind of laid back. Most of the people that were there were white-collar crime type individuals. So when I met this young guy in there, I don't know how we got to be cool, you know. You got to know somebody in there, so we lifting weights and stuff like that, and, you know, playing checkers or whatever, chess sometimes. And the conversation just got up, you know, what are you doing here, you know? Because he seemed like a pretty smart little guy. So he told me and what he did. Now look, I'm telling you right now, I'm not telling these stories to glorify crime or educate you so you can go out there and do it. If you do something that's criminalistic, that's on you. I'm telling you this to entertain you and to give you some knowledge, you know, of what not to do. I'll put it like that. Don't do anything that I'm telling you about. It's not for that purpose. I'm just telling you what happened. So I got to talking to the guy. He said that he went and he saved up $5,000 is working with this, and he went out and he bought a cashier's check. And I said, what'd you buy a cashier's check for? And he said that he heard that he could turn around and take and go buy some coin collections for $5,000 and put them on eBay and sell it, you know, for $7,500. I don't know. I mean, I ain't never thought about doing something like that. Maybe it can be done. But at the time, I'm thinking, well, that makes sense to me. But they don't put you in jail for going out to buy some coins for $5,000 and put them on eBay for $7,500. Is what I'm iterating. He said, no, that's not, you know, what I got accused for. And I said, okay, so I'm waiting for the punchline. He said, what I did was, on the job that I had, we had this high-end computer. So while he was at work, before he bought the coins the next day, he printed off a copy of the cashier's check. I said, oh, well, okay, now I can understand, what you're doing in jail. So then he came up with this idea. He said, what if I take and print off 10 copies of the cashier's check? He said when he got through, they looked almost identical. You couldn't tell the difference. So he cut everything out, and now, instead of having one cashier's check, he had 11 of them. So he looks up the coins on Craigslist, and he goes back and he's just looking up whatever it is that people got that's for sale. And he calls them up and says, hey, if you got a rare antique, and would you take $5,000 for it? Because that's what I got. And so he's calling these different individuals. Somebody might say, well, I've got some nice jewelry, and I've got an old Rolex watch, for example. And he said, well, I'll give you $5,000 for it. And so each time the person agreed, he said, well, would you take a cashier's check? You can call and see if it's good before you take it. And the people said, I'm definitely going to do that. He said, fine. And some of them said, well, I'll meet you at my bank and we can deposit it. He said, fine. So each time he met with these individuals the same day, he scheduled them almost together. And he met with one, and he give them the cashier's check, and they go deposit, and they run it and say, yeah, it's a good check. Another one go run it, good check. And this goes on and on and on. And when he got through, I didn't know this, that a cashier's check is just like cash. So if you go to the bank, you get a cashier's check. Once you walk out that bank, if you lose that, then you just lost your money. It's just like losing $5,000. So he goes out and continues to do this type of thing. So now he's making money doing this, and he decides to make this into a career. And so he starts wearing disguises a little bit and starts going out and get higher cashier's check, and people are buying a lot of different stuff from him, and he starts making a lot of money. So now what I consider a lot of money might not be your idea of a lot of money. So I'll put it like this. He started making a couple $100,000 plus doing this scheme, and he's not only dealing with that same town, but he's jumping on a plane, and he might go to Memphis and do it. He might jump on a plane, go to Arizona. He said he stayed away from California because a lot of people in California is up on that kind of stuff, and he stayed away from New York for the same reason. But he went to a lot of these little small towns, and he would get there and get the cashier's check and go someplace else, copy it, and run his little scheme. So as he's doing this thing that he's doing, he said he got quite good at it. But he wanted this truck. It was like 57 custom Chevy, and he really, really wanted it. And the guy wanted $25,000 for it. And he thought, wow, man, this is a really nice truck. So he asked the guy, would you take a cashier's check? And the guy said, yeah. So he said, as long as I can call in and make sure it's good. So the guy turns around and says he would do that. So he deposited the money for a cashier's check, get the cashier's check, copy it, and then he take the guy the cashier's check, and the guy says, yeah, I'll deposit in my bank. Well, come to find out, if you deposit it, so why it's taking 2 to 3 days, it's not going to catch up with them that, or back then, it wouldn't catch up with them that 10 different people cashed the same check, or with the same serial numbers on there. They didn't have that type of technology at this time. So each time that he did this, he knew that. So then he'd go and cash the real cashier's check, get the cash, and he took the truck and he registered the truck in a false name. And then he turned around when the title came back, he sold the truck to himself. And so the feds were already on to him at this time. They had just never caught up with him. But when they found out about this truck, they traced down what happened to the truck, which, DMV system nationwide will tell you, here's where this truck is and here's who bought it. So when they found out that this truck was from Kansas City, Missouri, and here's the individual that bought it, they took a copy of his driver's license, took it around to all these individuals that got scammed, and you know, the majority of them said, yep, that's him. That's the guy that scammed me out of my money. That's the guy, that's the guy, that's the guy. So it didn't take a whole lot for him to go and arrest him and charge him, you know, with all those crimes. Now, each one of those crimes didn't carry very much time. However, the judge wanted to make an example out of him. So he ran a lot of that time to, you know, consecutive instead of running concurrent, running together. So he ended up with 12 years for that crime. So, yeah, that was dumb for him to put that truck in his own name. But like I said, when you committing crime, it's just a dumb idea when you think you're going to just get up every day and commit a crime and make a living off of it. It didn't work out for Al Capone. It didn't work out for Carlos Escobar. And I doubt it didn't work out for me. So, not saying I'm on the level they was, but I doubt very seriously if it worked out for you. So, my advice is, you know, crime don't pay. Just simply don't do it. Yeah, if you're as smart as I think you are, you know, get you a job, use your mind, use your skills to do something positive, you know. That way you can be out there, enjoy your family, enjoy your life, be with your loved one, raise your own kids. Don't wonder, you know, how they doing in school when you make that phone call from a jail cell, or hoping that you get a visit from them every once in a while. Be there for them. So anyway, I ain't going to lecture you or anything like that, but I'm just giving it to you in the real. So I hope you like the story. If you do, like, subscribe, and get back with me. I appreciate you listening. Thank you.
Boys K did it, so you know it got slapped.
What you know about doing hard time in the lockup? No appeal and your baby mama knocked up. You only win with a father, you gotta survive. You better have some hands to get knotted up. Seeing friends turn to foes, you can't trust nobody. Every day is a test, and you gotta have heart, and you gotta be smart, and you can't be a mark, and a blame in your heart.
Welcome to TubbsTV.